My name is Trisha Morris, and I would like to welcome you to my channel, Mathematics Simplex, where you will be able to view videos you might find difficult in your class. Now we're going to factorize by grouping. So I'm going to put the first two in one group and the last two in another group. So here I have two brackets. We're in the first bracket, looking at it, we have a squared, we have 8, realize there's no number, and once you're not seeing any number in front of the 8 squared, it means the coefficient is 1. When we're not seeing the coefficient having a highest common factor greater than 1, then we are going to leave it. What do I mean? The coefficient of a squared is 1. That's in front of here. This is like saying 1a. And the coefficient of a is 3. 1 and 3, highest common factor, it is just 1. So we can neglect it or forget about it. Just forget about it. So we can leave it alone. So here we have a squared and a. For a squared and a, we can say what is the highest common factor for a squared and a. And you should be seeing that the HCF is just a. So factoring out a in the first bracket, we're going to find out what is left. So we divide each term, the first term and the second term, by a. So a into a squared gives you 1a. And these two a cancel, so what we're left with is 3. Looking at the next, if you realize x is common, we can just go ahead and factor out positive x. Now, this is where we have to factor out a sign. So it's either positive or negative, but both terms carrying a positive sign, so we factor out a positive x. So factoring out the positive x, if we want, we can divide both of these terms by x. So these cancel. So we are left with a plus 3. Now, remember, 1a is the same thing as a. So I'm going to change this. Now, looking at this, whenever you're factorizing by grouping, the brackets that we arrive at should always look the same. Once they're the same, it means you're on the right track. So since we're on the right track, we will be writing the bracket once. So I have a plus 3. Then we group the outside. So we have a plus x. Here we have ax minus bx plus am minus bm. So the first thing we're going to do is group. Now looking at the first bracket, what is common? If you realize we have x in the first term and x in the second term, so I can factor out an x. So factoring out the x, we divide the first term and the second term by x. These cancel, so we're left with a minus b in my first bracket. In the second bracket, we look at what's common that we can factor out, and you should be seeing that m is common. So we factor out positive m. Why is it that I factor out a positive m? Again, this is positive and this is negative. So once you have a positive, then a negative, we leave the sign negative alone. So here we factor out an m, a minus b remaining. If you're not seeing this right away, just remember that we divide third term and the fourth term by m. So these cancel, so we are left with a minus b. So both brackets, again, should be the same. So once it's the same, it means you're on the right path. And here we have a minus b. And the next, grouping the x and the m together, so we have x plus m. Here we have another expression. Now, if you look at this, when I group 5x plus 2y, is there something in common? No. If you look at xy plus 10, is there something in common? No. So sometimes we have to rearrange because this is 5x and this is 10. I can group these two together. So I have 5x plus 10, while the other side I have xy and 2y. So this would be 2y plus xy. After rearranging, now I can go ahead and group the first two terms together and the next two terms, which is the last two terms, together. So in this case, we look at what is common that I can factor out. If you look at the first bracket, the highest common factor is 5. So I can factor out the 5. Then I can see 5 into the first term and 5 in the second term. Now this 5 cancels because 5 into 5 goes 1 time. So this is the same thing as 1x, which is x. And 5 into 10 goes 2 times. So I have plus 2. Looking at the second bracket, if you realize y can be factored out, that's the highest common factor. So factoring out positive y, then we can divide the third term and the fourth term by y. So these cancel. So I'm left with 2 plus x. Now looking at this, x plus 2, not looking like the 2 plus x. So we can do some rearrangement. Rearranging the 2 plus x, I have x plus 2. So now the brackets are looking the same, so we write it once. So we have x plus 2, then grouping the outside, so we have 5 plus y. And there we go. Here we have another expression I'm going to group. If you look at the first bracket, b is common, so I can factor out a b. And factoring out the b, we can divide the first term and the second term by the letter b that we factor out. This cancels, so I have a remaining, then b into b squared. One of the b's cancels in the numerator with the one in the denominator, so I'll be left with b. It's like this. We can put 1 in front of the a to remind ourselves that, okay, the coefficient is a minus 1 here. So we can go ahead and look at this and say, okay, the letters are not in common. So the only thing that is in common is the negative 1. So factoring out the negative 1, again, we divide each term by negative 1. Negative into negative goes positive, so we have a positive a. Negative into negative goes positive, so we have a positive b. So this gives me b minus 1 and a plus b. Now, if you realize I grouped it different to show you that it doesn't matter which one you want to write first, it is still correct. So if someone wrote A plus B, then B minus 1. They are still correct.